Christians are commanded to be peaceable, respectful, honor their leaders, pray for them. But we're not commanded to be doormats. We're not electing a pastor. We're electing a president. Christians in this country, many of them feel very much under siege, rightfully or wrongfully, and we take comfort in this president being in our corner. And if we did not return the loyalty that he has given to us, there would be something wrong with us. Christians today are in a tension. Not all of them necessarily think that the president is highly moral, highly honest, or highly religious. But what they do say is that he has protected religious principles and policies. He has surrounded himself by good, decent people, starting with Vice President Pence, and that he has allowed Christians to have a voice and protected our right to exercise our faith.
Laszlo Pasztor is a retired military officer and evangelical Protestant living in Carlisle, Pennsylvania. In 2016, 1 out of every 3 votes for Donald Trump came from white evangelicals, so their continued enthusiasm in swing states like Pennsylvania will be crucial for his re-election.
We're going to win Pennsylvania, and we're going to win 4 more years in the White House.
In the past 5 years, there's been a lot of trying to make sense of how white evangelical Protestants could stay so supportive of a candidate like President Trump, who, is really not that outwardly religious, is divorced, is profane.
I'm going to bomb the out of them. It's true. I don't care.
What they really care about isn't so much the character of the person they're voting for, but that person's ability to deliver on the issues they care about.
Christians are not naive. They understand that the president has his flaws. Sometimes we're troubled by some of his tweets, some of his aggressive statements. We have not ignored that. But on the other hand, we've got to look at the good that he has done. The promises he made, Supreme Court nominees, policies about abortion, policies about Christian expressions in the public square, he's been consistent and loyal. And Christians value his loyalty to something larger than ourselves. He may not be the most savory person, but he has been, for our purposes, consistent with what he promised.
In 2011, we asked a survey question of everyone, as a national survey. Do you think it's possible that an elected official who commits an immoral act in their private life can still behave ethically and fulfill their duties in their public life? When we looked at white evangelicals, only 30% of them said it was possible. We asked this question again in 2016. The main difference is that President Trump is the candidate at the top of the ticket. And in that survey, white evangelicals had moved from 30% to 72% saying this was possible. I mean, we really don't see that kind of movement on a question like this. It's very unusual.
Trump's support among white evangelical Protestants, which has kind of been holding steady throughout his presidency, actually began to decline over the course of the summer, hit a low point in August, and then rebounded to quite high levels in September. I would have to say that I think the Supreme Court vacancy is probably a really big part of it.
The Lord uses flawed people for righteous ends. The overwhelming reason I heard most evangelicals state that they were supporting the president despite himself was because of the potential Supreme Court nominations. And that is a significant reason why evangelicals are consistently still with him. And look at the current situation right now. 3rd appointment.
At the heart of the Christian right's political philosophy, their political playbook, is the Supreme Court. You vote for presidential candidates who will nominate conservative Supreme Court justices that will one day overturn Roe versus Wade and protect religious liberties. And then you see this as a playbook that has been around for a long time, for at least 50 years now. I think Jerry Falwell Sr., just speaking here as a historian, does not get enough credit for the political movement that he created.
We're going to pray, we're going to preach, but we're also going to vote.
This man taught millions of white evangelicals that there was only one way to engage in politics, and that was to pursue power, restore America as a Christian nation, win the Supreme Court. Trump executed that playbook brilliantly and continues to execute it.
Christianity will have power because if I'm there, you're going to have plenty of power. You don't need anybody else. You're going to have somebody representing you very, very well. Remember that.
Unborn children have never had a stronger defender in the White House.
It's worth noting that white evangelicals, for example, only make up 15% of the American religious landscape, right? But they get probably 85% of the attention.
Stand on freedom.
Not all devout Christians are supportive of Trump. Reverend Tracy Blackman's faith influences her vote differently.
There are many voices out here, evangelical and progressive, who understand a moral compelling to vote for people who see everyone, who believe in a beloved community in this country. My faith compels me to vote for candidates who see the poor, who see the marginalized, who see the ostracized and the outcast, who welcome the stranger. We have reached over 200,000 deaths of COVID. And I have not heard the white evangelical voice speak one time about life there. 1/3 of our citizens go to bed with food insecurity every night. And I have not heard the white evangelical voice speak about life there. And as we talk about the boundaries that are being put up at our borders, I have not heard any white evangelical talk about life there.
White evangelicals, I think, in the Trump era have moved from being so-called values voters to being what I've called nostalgia voters. And one thing that Trump actually played into that was, even his campaign slogan, "Make America Great Again," is that last word really was a hearkening back, right, to a previous time. Actually, I think this is one of the biggest dividing lines in the American religious landscape is this: who and what is America? When Barack Obama was running for president in 2008, the country was 54% white and Christian. So majority white and Christians. That number today is 44%, right? So we have gone just in a little more than a decade's time, 2 presidential election cycles, from being, descriptively speaking, a majority white Christian country to one that's no longer majority white Christian country.
There is a burden. Christians are concerned that this worldview in this country is slipping away from a Christian consensus that it had 50 years ago. And especially at the time of its foundation, we do see a tension between our faith and the American consensus culture.
I do think the simplistic way of thinking about the role that religion plays in politics is to listen to conservative white Christian voters. And what they say about themselves is this is all about abortion or it's all about anti-gay politics. But I think that, one of the things I'm hoping to see more of is digging a little deeper, not just taking a group's word about itself. Why is it that Trump is doubling down on Confederate monuments and flags? Why is it that Trump is talking so much about African-American athletes who are kneeling in support of Black Lives Matter?
This country is evolving. It's evolving demographically. It's evolving with the language we speak. And the president's message of making America great resonates to a time when Christianity was the consensus worldview. That's changing. But Christians do not want to be shut down and shut up. It is refreshing that we do have a president that fights for us.
They're coming after me because I'm fighting for you. That's a big part of it. And I'm fighting for all Americans and our way of life, but I'm fighting for you. And they don't like you.
Reverend Blackman worries that, in finding an advocate in Trump, white evangelicals have not been vocal enough in condemning Trump's divisive rhetoric.
To be Christian is to be a follower of Christ and not a follower of white supremacist agendas.
What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
supremacists and
who would
right
you like me to condemn?
White supremacists and right
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
This production that was billed as a debate, which was more like a playground brawl. What our leadership is promoting and supporting and turning his eye to so that he does not have to address it is not born of God. What grieves me is not the loud rhetoric of Donald Trump. What grieves me is the silence of the white church.
Days after the debate, Donald Trump condemned white supremacy, and Laszlo strongly rejects the idea that white evangelicals are silent about issues of justice or support white supremacy. He cites that Christian conservatives are among the most charitable and serving of any religious group.
When the economy blesses the entirety of the population, to include the highest employment rate of blacks, Hispanics, women, that is justice. That is social justice when people can work. Christians are burdened. We're burdened that there should be equality under the law and that we should not be divided by race. Christians believe that there are only two races, only two, sinners and believers. That's it. And we hope and pray that the policies that we promote will bless all. And as a Christian, I have to say that the Lord has used this nation powerfully. We are just grateful that we have a president now that does love America and makes no apologies for it.